Hello, everyone. How you guys doing? Today, I wanted to share with you this very simple method that I created long time ago that I've been actually helping a lot of people with, and it's a very simple thing that is going to help you to actually stop negative thinking. I've been having a lot of clients for years that they always worry a lot and they keep themselves on fear because they just have negative thinking, and suddenly they found themselves just having issues in a way that their energy starts going down and they don't know why. Sometimes they're just thinking that it's just their food. It could be for some people but not for everybody. The truth is that thought and thinking is a very important situation for humans. We know that if we have a negative thinking, if we continue thinking and chewing like a gum those negative thoughts, we're going to be in a situation where we're not going to be able to have our entire energy. Pretty much what is happening here is our energy is going to start going down because the mind actually just keeps getting into your brain all this thinking process that is just negative, and it's going to start chewing and chewing your energy. So anyways, I find out long time ago for myself a little method that I created for myself, and then I share it with people, and it works beautifully if like everything, if you actually practice, right? So anyway, I created for myself long time ago, and to help myself with my negative thinking, like everybody has negative thinking, right? So with the years, I discovered that I was having less and less and more positive until I really become a very naturally positive person in most of the times. You know, the most optimistic that I could. Obviously, we're humans. We have a lot of different things going on in our lives. We have so many different emotions. We get sad, we get angry, other people piss us off. So anyways, whatever your case is, this is a really good method for you if you practice it. I have a really good results from people that actually practice, because please don't think that it's just a magic pill that is going to take away your negative thinking just because you practice it the first time. It has a little science behind. I hope that you can really see what I'm talking about here. And the key is to keep practicing. And obviously, I'm going to explain what's the key of the method. Like there is a very, very important key, and it's just three very simple steps that you guys need to do. So I will explain about and I will explain also why I call it the 1 2 3 God method. But you don't need, if you're a person that you don't, if your personal belief system is not believing in God, or you don't want to call it God, whatever you want to call it, just stay to the end and you will see I'm not going to be trying to recruit people for a cult or anything like that. I'm not a cult leader or anything like that. I just wanted to share things that help you emotionally, especially with your thought thinking, with your thought and thinking process that is probably sucking a lot of your energy through something that I call resistance. So I prepared this little small presentation for you guys to be a little bit more graphical with you, and I hope you enjoy it. And please let me know and in your comments, or you send me an email, and or contact anybody on my company to if you have any questions or you would like to know a little bit more about this. All right. So let me just start sharing with you. Obviously, it's called the 1 2 3 method, the 1 2 3 God method. So, which is pretty much what I call the best to stop negative thinking and be balanced. So, uh, why I did this? Well, as I mentioned before, I did it because at some point I was having a lot of negative thinking and I really needed to stop. I was feeling very tired. I was feeling very, very worn down. And so I created this, and it works marvelous for me. So it make me to just internalize a very, very constant practice of being and making myself in the best way possible. So these are going to be three easy steps to stop negative thinking and replace it with the spirit. And I will be explaining about what is about the spirit. You know what? Let me explain it now. Explain it now. A spirit is everything, right? A depends of the belief system. We believe in God, we believe in, some people believe in Buddha, some people believe in Jesus, some people believe in the little rock, whatever you believe in. The truth is that the universe, it has been designed to have some good spirit. And when I'm talking in spirit, is that strength, that subatomic force that we get into our bodies that make us to keep going. A good example of that is that some people, some professional athletes, even if they don't have any religious background, what they do is like their coach push them to the very end, and when they cannot make it anymore, what happened? They start pulling, they get into this survival mode, and they start pulling this spirit into their bodies, right? Because they do that, what happens is that they push one more time and push a little bit more to make things happen for them and to be okay and to achieve. So very much in this method, the number one thing that we're going to do here is the first step we need to do is identify and be aware of your negative thought, right? To identify and be aware of the negative thought. What happens here is that with our negative thinking, we're sometimes, or most times, we're not aware. We just got a thought, a negative thought, and we just keep thinking about it. And suddenly, the day passed by, and by the end of the night, by the end of the day, I'm sorry, by the end of the day, you're drained completely. Sometimes, probably before that, probably it is still morning, right? And you're thinking, and you're totally drained. And that is the first step. You need to be aware. You need to identify. The second step, and I'm going to be explaining all these steps one by one. So anyway, we need to identify or be aware of the negative thought. Okay. So the second step, and again, what is going to happen here is I'm going to be sharing step by step how to work with each step. So I'm just mentioning the steps right now. So number one, identify or be aware of your negative thought or thinking. And then number two is going to be stop resistance. So I will be explaining what this actually means, stopping resistance, because in reality, resistance is what is going to make you to keep chewing those thoughts. But we'll get there. Just bear with me. So number one, identify the negative thought. Number two, stop resistance. And number three is going to be, we need to replace this negative thinking, negative thought with the spirit. We're going to ask the spirit to fulfill our hearts, to feel and fulfill our hearts, and with the opposite thinking. And that is going to start working directly in our bodies, changing our vibration and start creating a different attraction. We're going to start attracting something different. But let's dive in to a little bit each of these steps. Okay, let's talk about identifying the negative thought. Okay, this is awareness, right? We need to be aware that we have the negative thought, and we need to identify it. And when I said we need to identify it, we really need to be aware of what we're thinking, or at least part of what we're thinking. And a lot of us, we just, like, probably not just a lot, the majority of humans, what we do is like we just don't identify our thoughts or thinking. We just let them happen. And sometimes we just get to the point that we just don't want to think anymore. So identifying this negative thinking is very much the first step that will allow us actually to have a practical action towards the thinking process. And very much what it is to, when you become aware of the thought that is actually hurting you, you are going to be, it's like when somebody's bothering you, right? Or is bugging you in the street, and it's like somebody just throwing these little rocks, but you cannot see anybody. It's like but just keeps bothering you. You cannot do anything about it until you become aware that it's probably your neighbor, right? Or your kid or whoever it is. And that's when you're going to be able to go and face it and take some type of action. In thought and thinking process, this is exactly the same. So you need to identify that. Being fully aware of this negative thinking will bring you into your power of logic. Yes, now you're going to be able to be in your power of logic, and obviously you are going to start making sense of this. A lot of people actually get into an emotional situation because of negative patterns and negative thinking, and what happens with them. So what happens with them is like nothing makes sense, right? I hear a lot of clients, a lot of people suffering and having a lot of issues, having and saying like, this doesn't even make sense. Exactly, that doesn't even make sense. What you want this is to help you to make sense. It helps you to go from the emotion into your logical part where you're gonna be like, well, I don't need this shit, right? Oh, sorry about that. The word, excuse my French. Anyways, is that's the problem when you start practicing a lot of different languages, right? Anyways, um, so that's pretty much what happens, and that is going to start helping you to be willing to make a change. That is going to help you to actually don't be on fear anymore, to stop your fear, and you will obviously start stopping that draining that you have that leaves you out of energy. So anyways, having an awareness of your negative thought will give you this much more power that you don't need to be entertaining. You are going to make the decision that you need to be entertaining any of these thoughts that are just literally sucking your life, and it makes you just to feel bad. Correct? So so let's talk a little bit about stopping resistance. So number one, you know, what is resistance? In this case, it's very interesting because in religion they call this the enemy. Okay, this they call the enemy, and in science this is just resistance. It's just the opposite of what you would like. It's the opposite force of what you would like. In this case, you have a negative thinking that is the opposite of the positive thinking that you want, or being optimistic. So what we're talking about here is the power of polarity. We have here polarity, and polarity is going against you. So but when we talk about stopping resistance, we are talking about you need to be strong to stop by facing that enemy. Excuse me. So pretty much, so by nature, all the humans, we have the tendency to be on fear to the unknown. You know, everything that has to do with things that we don't know, or just it's very difficult to confront things, to confront anything. And when I say anything, I mean anything and everything, right? Everything that has to do with confrontation is hard for everybody, including those people that they're like very like, you know, they're not afraid of anything. For a millisecond, they have to stop for a second and think like, oh shit, I have to confront this person. I have to confront these things. Let me tell you something. Confronting your own thinking process, it could be more difficult than even getting into a fight, in a physical fist fight. But as I said, this is going to include confronting your thinking, and that is going to be probably one of the hardest things for a lot of people, not for everybody. Some of you are going to start doing this and it's going to make sense very fast, and you're going to be able to handle it. And if you're not, you just need to practice a little bit more until it becomes part of you, until you internalize, right? So excuse me about that. Especially when we're talking about emotion, because our negative thinking is going to get us into an emotion. And once that you're in emotion, what happens? We have the tendency to say that we fucked up everything every time that we get into an emotion, and we don't have that emotional control, right? Cheers. Hold on. So, anyways, what resistance does is also, okay, we need to understand that resistance is actually normal. Resistance is actually normal. This is part of our natural mechanism to go against everything, right? So this is called polarity. But when resistance happens, very much what happens is it will make us to be completely into the negative emotion, and it's going to trap us. You know, it's like it get us into this hole of repetitive pattern, what people call the what? The hamster wheel, right? So why? Because the more that we get in, we got this tendency to just keep feeding the emotion. It's hard to stop, and this method is actually designed to help you to stop. And obviously, I'm teaching you this now. I'm sharing with you guys now, but in reality, it doesn't take you more than probably 1 to 2 minutes to do it. And the more constant you are with this, in a little bit of time, you're gonna be handling this, and at some point, you won't need to do the steps because you're naturally gonna do it. It's gonna be just part of yourself. Okay, so stop resistance. Okay, and then what? We're gonna just replace it with the spirit. Okay, excuse me about that. We're going to replace it with the spirit. We're going to fulfill our hearts. We're going to ask the spirit to fulfill our hearts with and our body with the spirit of goodness, right? That water went into the wrong tube. And remember, I this is part of this, so I don't think that I'm gonna edit this part because it is happening. All right. So we're going to replace this with the spirit. And when we are in fear, one of the things that happens when we are in fear is that the only thing that we want when we're in fear is we want to stop that feeling. Is that correct? When we are on fear, the only thing we want is just want to stop that freaking feeling because make us feel bad. We feel uneasy. We that fear make us not achieve things in life. It will make us just to be afraid of doing the steps to be better, do prevent us from having good communication with others. It's so many different things that this can actually do us a harm in our lives, right? So but most times what happens here is that we find ourselves trapped in our own fears and our emotions, and because of that, once that we're trapped, we just start losing all that energy, and it's actually very difficult to get out of the hole. And if you're having this problem, like just be trapping with your emotions, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Some of you might not have these that strong, but that doesn't mean that you don't have it, right? That doesn't mean that you don't have it. And when that happens, that is when we start, when we replace this negative thinking with the spirit in our hearts, we start readapting our body. We start so getting a better vibration, because remember, when we have resistance, we get into very very low vibration, and when we are in those vibration, as a consequence, what is going to happen? We're going to start becoming very a big magnet. But a magnet of what? Well, attracting shit, right? Attracting the wrong people, attracting things that we don't like in our life. And we want to replace that with a spirit so we can change our vibration of our bodies, and we can start becoming the opposite, the magnet of the opposite, to start attracting better people, better things in our lives. And so again, resistance, practicing that, it will, get you into the hamster wheel, and will get you into even believe that you have a bad luck. And I'm not saying that bad luck doesn't exist, that's up to you, but you want to believe it or not. But in reality is resistance, and replacing this with the spirit will help you to modify that vibration so you can have a different magnetic vibration for you and for everything that you do in life. And what is going to happen? Of course, you're going to get better, and you're going to start thinking like, oh shit, my luck just changed, right? So so again, one more time, once that you replace that negative thinking with a positive, which is the opposite, we will allow our hearts to be filled with the spirit, and fulfill our hearts and body with that spirit. And we're going to modify that vibration. We're going to change. We're going to connect directly to a different frequency. All right. So I just want to go into the last part, which pretty much is like make sure you allow your body to feel. That is the most important thing. And I'm going to do a little demonstration. So I'm going to give you an example so you can tell, like, Arturo, what you're talking about. So we have the first step, which is number one. Remember, we're talking about identify the negative thinking. Number two, resistance is going to come. Number three, you need to ask God or whoever you believe on to fulfill your heart with the opposite. But there is one little thing that you need to do in order for all these three steps to actually work. And the key to do this is allow your body to feel. So I mean it. When you ask for, you need to really believe it and allow your body to have that little feeling. If you are a little bit more sensitive persona, what is going to happen, you're going to probably feel chills when that happens. And the more you do it and the more you believe it, the spirit is going to come in a more quantity and more capacity, more amount. And what is going to happen, you're going to feel it more. If you're a person that you're not that sensitive in your body, at some point you will feel it more. So this is actually very beneficial for those that are a little bit kind of disconnected from your emotions. But this is going to help. All right. So let's continue, guys. And let me give you an example of, because I want to make sure that you learn step by step this process, right? So I'm going to tell you something, just a random negative thinking, right? That happens to a lot of people. You can be thinking like you're working and suddenly you have a thought that says, my mom is unhappy. Oh my God. Um, that's a negative thought. You know why? Because in reality, when you have a thought, then what happens? So then resistance happens. Automatically resistance happens, especially if you have an issue by if your mom is being unhappy and is actually hurting you in some way, or is making your life inconvenience with that. When you get the thought like, oh, my mom is unhappy again, and resistance would be pretty much like, oh, Jesus Christ, I don't believe that this happened. This is happening again. And then you continue thinking she's going to be mad. She's going to be in a bad mood. She's going to throw things, or she's going to be very difficult to everybody. And I'm going to have to ask for a day off in my job. And see, you keep thinking and thinking and thinking and chewing. That is resistance, right? So pretty much that thought is going to get you into the resistance. So what do we need to do there is, and obviously that is going to just suck your entire energy, right? So in the step number 2, pretty much of the solution for this, which be, so number 1, identify the thought, oh, my mom is unhappy, probably again, right? That's the thought. So, and then instead of continuing with all these that she's unhappy, she's going to be mad, the second step would be like, my mom is unhappy again. The question to stop, you need to question that resistance. You need to make yourself a question like this. When my mom is unhappy, in your thinking, you just automatically right away, you need to say, why is she unhappy again? Now, one of the things that you're going to observe during this time is that when you actually say that, if you notice, and I invite you to do it right now, have a negative thought, think of it, and certainly start chewing it, right? And then go back and identify the thought. And after that, I need you to ask that question. What, why? You know, why this is this way? When you ask that question, the brain stops. The brain stops from the emotional side to the logical side and says, why? And now the brain expects, it creates a little gap that actually expects an answer. So the brain stops resistance. It doesn't keep giving you the crap and now expecting an answer. Correct? So try, and you will see that actually works like that. So, and then what you need to do, you are going to ask God, or whoever you believe on. As I said, I put the word God because it's easy and simple for me. It's simple and easy for me to just remember. It's short and simple to remind me what is God about. That is everything for me. Okay, so you can ask God to fulfill your heart with happiness, right? Fulfill your heart with happiness. So again, identify the thought. Number 2, stop resistance with a question, why the negative thought. And then you ask God, fulfill my heart with, in this case, if my mom is unhappy, with happiness. If you have like a thought like, oh, I'm going to crash my car, you're going to ask the question, Why? I'm gonna crash my car. And then God fulfill my heart with safe. Make sense, guys? Make sense? So I just want you to be aware and be aware of something. It's very important that you define your belief system. It's very important that you know who you are asking things for, right? When you are going to be asking God fulfill my heart with, probably you believe in Allah, in from Middle East, and you believe in Allah, and what you're going to be, Allah fulfill my heart with. You believe in Buddha, you're going to ask Buddha to fulfill your heart with. Why? Because it really doesn't matter how you call it at the end, is something bigger than you, and it's a spirit. And that's how it's going to work. In reality, in humanity, been showing for all this time, I don't know, billions and billions, probably billions of years that we exist, even that obviously probably science can go more of probably thousands of years. Who the F knows, right? At this point, what you can prove, what you cannot. But in reality, if you see, we've been actually showing that we can really believe whatever we want. That's the truth. And I'm not saying this as a disrespect anyone. I really believe that every religion has its own goods for whoever is in need of that religion. It's a structure. I really invite people to be part of whatever structure you believe that is going to help you to be a better human. Because guess what? Our world really needs it. The world is so fucked up that we're really, I don't care what religion it is. Sometimes, yes, I can talk shit about some of them, and it's not exactly the religion. Some congregations are just taking it very bad, and some of them, they're very aggressive and violent. And instead of saying, God bless you with a good intention of blessing, they said, well, God bless you, like, oh shit, like they're using it as a cursing you. But anyways, I'm not here to criticize that. I'm just telling you, whatever works for you, that needs to be done in that way. You need to open your heart to do that and receive that from whatever you believe in. You believe in the universe, you believe in Santa Muerte, angels, saints, Buddha, spirit, whatever you believe in, this is what you need to do. Even if you just believe in a little rock, grab your little rock and believe on it. Because the important part, what I said, God wants, the spirit of the universe, what the universe really want for you is to be able to believe and have faith. Which is it's a step up from belief. It's like when you have faith, it's like okay, there's nothing that is going to move you from there. But that's not the class for that is not the class. This is not the class for that. Let's continue. So let's do a little quick recap, right? We need to keep it simple. So we need to identify the negative thinking. Number two, we need to stop resistance. How? Asking the question, right? And then the number three, we're going to ask God, Spirit, to fulfill our hearts. And you better use the same words, fulfill my heart with the opposite of the negative thinking. As I said before, if it's crashing your car, being safe. If your mom is unhappy, with happiness. Whatever it is, just use the opposite. So make sure that is making sense for you. Okay. So, and the last part is, remember, all this is with the purpose to allow your body to feel. And what I want you to do around that time is just close your eyes when you're asking for, like, God, fulfill my heart with happiness. And just pay attention to your body. Just pay attention to your body. Aloud, fulfill my heart with happiness. And see how your bodies are reacting to the word that you just said. Either you said just in your mind, or if you say it out loud, your body is going to have a reaction. And just pay attention where you feel it. Some of you might feel it in your heart. Some of you might feel it in your hands, in your arms, in your feet, wherever you feel it. And the more you believe on it and the more you are open to it, this is going to be faster, and it's going to help you to heal a lot of different things, especially the power of changing your thought and thinking process. So I want to wish you a wonderful, happy day. I'm be so grateful that you choose to have this little exercise to helping yourself. And I decide that this is not going to be, at least by now, a one of the um, paid programs that I normally do. I wanted to share this with everybody, and obviously for free. And you can find it in my YouTube channel, or you can find it also in my website, arturogaitan.com, where you can just subscribe to my list and have it free for you. You can download it, or you can have directly watch it in here in my YouTube channel and whatever channel I'm using. And I'm not gonna say like a click down or click on the left or the right, because I don't know where the technical people are gonna put the button, if there is any button. Anyways, I just want to share it from my heart. I hope this helped you a lot, and see you guys soon. Have a wonderful day. Bye.